Mr. Pyaneandee. In terms of, is it constitutionally guaranteed that the government is under a duty as a matter of the mother law to provide water? It's not in the constitution. But having said that, there is a provisions in our law which provides for the right to life. And I suppose that right to life does include the right to potable water and access to it. In Mauritius, irrespective of this great belief and culture that water must be viewed from a human rights perspective, in terms of planning and in terms of developing the right infrastructure, to ensure access to water, I think we have a very long way to go. Government for many years have set up what is called the CWA, the Central Water Authority, which is governed by the Central Water Authority Act. And it is what is called here a parastatal body, where government has an upper hand in nominating the chairman and recruiting the general manager to manage water. But the difficulty with this legal framework is that very often you don't necessarily have people who are independent or representatives of civil society or representatives of consumers who are able to put forward. So at the end of the day, you have people sitting on it from different representatives of different ministries, and obviously civil servants are accountable to the government of the day as opposed to being accountable to the population. And also by regulations, this is something I know, the minister is able to give directives to the CWA, and these directives have the force of law. So you don't necessarily have this consultative process regarding the administrative setup, regarding the future planning. So it's not so much of a national issue where you have the entire population participating in a continuous debate as to how to solve simple problems. For example, in recent years, they wanted to construct a dam. They started the work, they spent millions and millions, and then realized that the dam was constructed in the wrong place. It should not have been done at all. And the consequence of it is that those who are most needy are deprived of access to water. I think the first thing that we need to do is we have to empower civil societies and NGOs to view water from a human rights angle. This has not necessarily been the case, or we have not necessarily been very successful, because that would also then influence the planning for generation to come. What is it that has been hindering us so far from combating things like droughts, irrespective of the fact that in Mauritius, in terms of the inches of rain we have and in terms of other potentials that we can develop, is that we take everything for granted. There is no networking between government and civil society in terms of consultation. there is no sufficient and systematic research carried out to determine how best we can make use of the water that we have. So that's what we should start doing. There is, I understand now, that there is a national strategy paper, or one which is being developed by the Ministry of Utility. But I'm afraid that we, as Mauritians, we want to see concrete actions. Can you imagine, with the amount of rain we have, we still have water cuts in this country? It's beyond my own belief. The other thing is as well is how you get people to be sensitized about simple things such as water wastage, and secondly, how you assist the populations through self-help projects for themselves to participate in ascertaining that you don't have wastage every day. And I think that should not be very, very difficult if you educate people that about water being viewed from a human rights angle. I understand that there was a reaction from the unions. All the unions stood up against it. It would largely depend on who is in control of power. If you have an extreme right-wing government, then surely they may be tempted to privatize everything. Is it an issue now? Not fairly recently, but from time to time we do hear about it. And if you ask my views, my own view, I think something like water should never be left in the hands of the private sector. Well, you can't, there is no mechanism to force the CWA to provide its quarters with water. The view taken by the authority is that they are illegal. They don't have a title deed on the land on which they are living in their name. So there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's a serious human rights violation in this country. How can you ask people to do things which are beyond their capacity to do? They cannot guarantee government that he's going to be alive. This is a violation of right to property and right to life. I'm quite shocked. I mean, I've not heard of it before. But you ask people to pay a lease of which expires in 2030, as from now, to have it renewed for an additional period of 30 years. I think you are asking people to do that which is beyond their capacity, and that certainly must be illegal. It can be challenged before a court of law. That's unconstitutional. I hope they can bring some changes. I hope you can bring change. You can be agents of change, as I call it.